Tanse, welcome to APTN National News. I'm Creeson Agecoutay. Thank you for joining us. After a recent string of violence, the Dakota Tipi First Nation in southern Manitoba is demanding the federal and provincial governments provide support to tackle the drug trade. As reporter Sierra Bettens shows us, Chief and Council are turning to desperate measures, including evictions to curb the crisis.
At the Dakota Tipi First Nation band office, 9 eviction notices are sprawled out on a boardroom table. Each notice is addressed to a band member accused of using or selling drugs. They'll be given 24 hours to leave before the RCMP force them out. It's a last resort for the band council, who say they've done everything they can to combat the crisis.
We have to struggle for our people to survive, for our young people. It's tough having to bury a lot of young people. And we have another funeral to go. We're in a war. We're in a war against drugs, and we're losing that war.
In Dakota Tipi, located about an hour outside of Winnipeg, virtually everyone has lost a relative to an overdose or drug-related violence. Portage La Prairie RCMP say a 28-year-old female from the community was abducted and assaulted by 2 women on July 25th. Then, this past Sunday, Chief Pache's nephew, Kennedy Elk, was murdered in Winnipeg. Back in February, the community declared a state of emergency to combat the drug trade. Today, they're calling on the federal and provincial governments to take action and provide resources.
These health service agencies, they just don't seem to be getting it, that our people are dying. I think every community is going through the same issue, that we are. It's a crisis. And we're trying our best to deal with it and help people, but at the same time, the resources aren't there to do it.
Dakota Tipi Finance Minister Miranda Smoke said members caught using drugs are given a written warning and connected to services. If they continue using, they are taken off traditional social assistance and moved to a food voucher program. As a last resort, they face eviction and banishment from the community.
If they're resistant to going to treatment, or they're flat out state that no, I don't need help, I'm fine, and they're in denial, then this would be our last draw.
A few kilometers from the band office, Councillor Carl Stone gives a tour of a former bed and breakfast the band currently rents. They hope to transform it into a treatment center, but they need more funding to make it happen. Stone ties disconnection from lands and culture to people turning to drugs to deal with trauma.
A trauma that our people had to endure from the loss of land and the loss of use to our lands and our medicine. And all that being stripped and taken away from our people have had to, suffer that.
He believes a treatment center could help regenerate those connections, helping people heal.
The land is something that could be beneficial for our people's healing, and so that they could get the help that they need to get off the drugs that they're on.
Back in November, the band council demolished a drug house. Justice Coordinator Braden Pache says the land will soon be home to multifamily housing.
Like all First Nations, we lack housing, and so this will benefit the community lots by having a fiveplex and giving these young people a chance to be homeowners.
In June and July, the community received apologies from Portage La Prairie and the federal government for past wrongs. However, Chief Pache says funding, not apologies, will help the community heal.
It's depressing in a sense, when we all know what the issue is and we've been advocating that issue, but it's fallen on deaf ears.
With government support, he says Dakota Tipi would hire more healthcare professionals, build a treatment center, and expand its safety officer program to help curb the drug crisis. Sierra Bettens, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Calgary-based TC Energy said on Tuesday it is selling a $1 billion minority stake in natural gas pipelines to a group of 72 Indigenous communities. APTN's Chris Stewart has more.
Details of the agreement were announced at a press conference on Tuesday. That $1 billion is buying a 5.34% stake in TC Energy's Nova Gas and Foothill pipelines, which cover 25,000 kilometers of natural gas pipelines across Western Canada. And 72 Indigenous communities from Saskatchewan, Alberta, and British Columbia are part of a consortium that will be the part owners. They hope to have a steady income from natural gas.
For many years, we've talked about sovereignty, but you really can't have true sovereignty until you have financial sovereignty.
Alberta's Indigenous Opportunities Corporation supports Indigenous investment in agriculture, telecommunications, transportation, and natural resource projects. It is guaranteed the billion-dollar loan needed to make the purchase.
It's about ensuring Indigenous peoples are active at every level of the economy as owners, workers, and partners.
Because if there's one thing that brings people together, that thing is having a good business opportunity.
TC Energy made the sale to pay down some debt and advance reconciliation efforts.
It's nice when you can kill two birds with one stone. We're going to view this as an opportunity to learn, and if it accomplishes a corporate objective at the same time, all the better.
The deal is expected to be finalized in the next few months. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
Two First Nations in northwestern Ontario this week say they are ending their association with the Treaty 3 Police Service. The police service and its board met on Tuesday to discuss the situation and say they take the First Nations' concerns very seriously, and says services have been impacted by a lack of resources provided by the First Nations and Inuit policing program, which is currently the subject of a human rights complaint. Treaty 3 Police says it is taking a number of immediate steps to address the concerns. Waba Simung Independent Nations and Grassy Narrows said the Treaty 3 Police Service has provided what it calls insufficient and ineffective policing that has led to an increase in violence, drug use, and deaths. The First Nations contracts with the police service will be terminated in 100 days, and a community-governed police service will take its place. Treaty 3 Police Service provides policing duties for 23 communities in Treaty 3 territory. In a statement, Ontario NDP MPP Saul Mamakwa said, First Nations police services are constantly fighting an uphill battle against addiction-related violence and deaths due to insufficient resources. It's time that changed. Our nations deserve to be safe and supported, and First Nations police deserve serious investment from the Canadian and provincial governments so they can protect our communities. Over to Alberta now, where it says it has made good progress on its overall wildfire fight. The province cut more than half of the out-of-control wildfires it had this time last week, but it warns that it's not out of the woods yet.
While lower temperatures and rain are expected in some areas of the province this week, next week we'll see higher temperatures return, bringing with them heightened wildfire danger and activity.
Parks Canada says it has 750 personnel continuing to fight the Jasper wildfire, and that the top priority is reducing the remaining risk it poses to the community. 7,200 people from First Nations across Canada are currently evacuated due to wildfires. That includes 6 First Nations in Manitoba, where people are spread throughout the province. The Canadian Red Cross says it's supporting 984 people from 5 First Nations in Manitoba who have been evacuated. Marcel Colombe First Nation, 1,000 kilometers north of Winnipeg, has been completely evacuated, where 2 wildfires are both less than 10 kilometers from the community. Manitoba Wildfire Service says value protection has been set up on 30 structures in and around the community. According to the latest update from the province of Manitoba, some residents of God's Lake First Nation, Manitoba Tipi Cree Nation, Wasagamok First Nation, and Red Sucker Lake First Nation have been evacuated due to smoke in the area. Manitoba Wildfire Service says it's focused on protecting Manitoba hydro infrastructure and the Bell Communication Tower, which services the Island Lake area. There are currently 58 active wildfires in the province. The Federal Conservatives are changing its tactics. They have now launched a new attack ad against NDP leader Jagmeet Singh. The ad features Singh in a fake magazine spread called Luxury Pensioner Monthly. It comes ahead of 2 federal by-elections in September, one of them an NDP stronghold in Manitoba. The change in focus from the Liberals to the NDP indicates the Tories see the New Democrats as a threat in the next election. A First Nations woman in Ontario hopes her story will get more women behind the wheel of a race car. We'll tell you more when we come back after this short break. Amnesty International has declared Wet'suwet'en chief Zahale its first ever prisoner of conscience. The non-governmental organization defines a prisoner of conscience as any person imprisoned or physically restricted because of their political, religious, or other consciously held beliefs. Amnesty International argues Canada has unjustly criminalized and restricted Chief Zahale for defending the land and rights of Wet'suwet'en. In December 2023, the organization published a report on the human rights violations of Wet'suwet'en members and supporters by the state, CGL Pipelines Limited, and TC Energy. On July 4th, Chief Zahale was sentenced to 60 days of house arrest for breaching the Coastal GasLink pipeline injunction. Amnesty is calling for his immediate and unconditional release from incarceration. Chief Zahale, who joined the press conference remotely while on house arrest, stood by his defense.
I've always been told as a chief, to make sure that you keep your blanket clean, meaning there that when you have a regalia, you have to respect it, and that you will never do anything to dishonor it. And I don't believe that by me becoming an enforcement officer and enforcing trespass laws, that I was well within my rights and I was not doing anything unjust. And that's why I say the RCMP, was obstructing justice when they stopped me from enforcing, Wet'suwet'en and trespass laws.
Winnipeg's Assiniboine Park wants to find a new home for a historic monument engraved with the 10 Commandments. It's led to a debate over the inclusion of the religious symbols in parks and ensuring that Indigenous perspectives are included. CTV's Danton Unger has the story.
What to do with the 10 Commandments? That's the question the Assiniboine Park Conservancy is asking right now. This monument engraved with the 10 Commandments, teaching central to Christianity and Judaism, was gifted to the city in 1965 and placed in the park where it stood for more than 50 years. It was removed in 2017 during the construction of the Leaf, and now the park isn't so sure it wants the monument back. Telling the city's Welcoming Winnipeg initiative, Assiniboine Park Conservancy has considered this matter very carefully in light of recent debate about historical monuments and believe that reinstalling the monument may make the park feel less welcoming for some members of our community.
I think that's right. It wouldn't be as welcoming.
Jerry Lowen says she and her husband come to the park religiously, but isn't so sure that the park is the place for religious items. If the monument were to come back, she says it shouldn't stand alone.
Then it should also have sort of the other universal religions also included around it.
Other park visitors CTV News spoke with had similar reactions.
Well, I think if it's part of the history of the park, why not? There's different faiths and whatever, but I mean, I think we can be all inclusive.
It's not offending anybody, then put it up. Again, if it's not your religion, that's religious freedom.
If they didn't have it here, I would be okay with it personally, but if they were, then I think it should be more open to everybody.
One notable Winnipegger has thrown her support behind the monument.
I absolutely believe the 10 Commandments should be in the park.
Gail Asper says she'd like to see the monument reinstalled.
People shouldn't feel like they're walking into a public park and it's suddenly a place of religious beliefs that aren't theirs. But I think we just need to look at the 10 Commandments as a set of morals and a set of values that have been benefiting society for 3,500 years.
Danton Unger, CTV News, Winnipeg.
A First Nations woman in southwestern Ontario wants to take her passion for race car driving to the next level. Tamara Miracle earned her license to take part in racing competitions earlier this month, and she's set to take part in a women's race all the way in the Middle East this December. APTN's Fraser Needham met up with her at the motorsport track in Shannonville, Ontario.
Tamara Miracle is trying to live more of her life in the fast lane. On this day, she's pushing her personal car, a 2011 Chrysler 200, through its paces. But being a speed demon wasn't always at the top of her to-do list. It all started with a random Google search a few years ago.
I found a competition called Formula Woman on Google, and I kind of read up about it, and it's for women who have little to no racing experience. It's just to help get women into motorsports because women are not quite as out there in motorsports as the men are. So I found that, and they actually were holding an assessment back at Calabogie in 2022, and I thought, why not? Give it a try.
Since then, the member of the Mohawks of the Bay of Quinte, who lives on the Tandanaga territory, has been an active member of Formula Woman, taking part in racing competitions that have taken her as far away as the United Kingdom. On this particular day, Miracle is doing laps to complete what is called a racer observation. It's necessary to qualify for a regional racing license.
It's not meant for the track, but I make it work. I need to get out there and practice, and so I'll do what I have to do to be able to do that.
The car you got now, like we were talking about earlier,
Nathan Block of Brack Driving Concept is Miracle's personal instructor for the day. He has been competitively racing for decades. He says it's not so important what car is used as it is gaining an understanding of the rules of racing.
Understanding what the rules mean, what the flags mean, where you're supposed to park the car in the event of a red flag, things like that. So there's a lot more than can be explained in a 5 or 10 minute interview, but basically it's just making sure that when she goes out on track, she's safe and understands what everything means, and you have to know it because people's lives are on the line.
Miracle says she has learned a lot about racing in a short period of time, but the challenging part is gaining the confidence to apply what has been learned on the track and in competition.
I would have to say probably my confidence in myself. Like, it's a big thing because you're the one in control of the vehicle. If you're not confident, then you're not going to be able to do it. So it's just building that confidence for me, yeah.
Block agrees that part of becoming a successful racer is pushing your confidence level to do things you may have not tried before.
And then half the battle I do as a coach is trying to say, okay, here's what you did wrong. Here's why it went wrong. Let's learn from that, not do it again, and go back out there and try it again. Because yeah, racing's scary.
Race car driving is an expensive sport. Miracle estimates she has already spent several $1,000s just to get to the level she is at, but says she has definitely caught the racing bug and wants to go as far in the sport as she can.
It's the feeling of being out on track. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I guess it's just free. I just feel free. It's like my mind just calms down and I just focus, and it's amazing. I don't know how quite to explain it. It's just, I think everybody should go out and give it a try at least once to see if they like it or not.
Fraser Needham, APTN National News, Shanville Motorsport Park, Ontario.
Yeehaw, that looks like a lot of fun. Thank you, Fraser. FX's Reservation Dogs on Hulu, Star, and Disney Plus is finally getting a number of Emmy nods this year. We'll also tell you which actor from the show is being recognized. We're back in less than 3 minutes. Over on the East Coast, Halifax 18, Fredericton 23. The Grand River 17, Nain 7. Saguenay 22, Val-d'Or 28. Toronto 24, Sault Ste. Marie 18. Sioux Lookout 24, Timmins 24 as well. Churchill 20, Puckatawagan 20 there as well. Gimli 26, Barons River 25. Swift Current 22, North Battleford 19. Buffalo Narrows 16, Stony Rapids 15. Northern Alberta, high level 13, Peace River 14. Medicine Hat 21, Edmonton 17. Campbell River 18, Kamloops 18 as well. Dees Lake 7, Fort Nelson 11. Beaver Creek 11, Old Crow 7. Yellowknife 12, Norman Wells 7. Sachs Harbor 1, Colville Lake 7 is there. Chesterfield 12, Baker Lake 12. And Arctic Bay 9 and Igloolik 3. It has now been 7 days since the 2024 Olympics kicked off in Paris, France. A total of 315 athletes are representing Team Canada, 123 men and 192 women. So far, at least 5 of them identify as Indigenous. They are wrestler Justino Di Stasio from Norway House Cree Nation in Manitoba, swimmer Apollo Hess from Kainai Nation in Alberta, who we had on the show previously and is the first Olympic athlete from that First Nation, volleyball player Finn McCarthy, who is Métis from Lake Country, British Columbia, diver Margot Earlham, who is also Métis from Calgary, Alberta, and rugby player Shalea Valenzuela from Sishat First Nation, who has already won Team Canada a silver medal. Congratulations to all of them for making Team Canada this year. Indigenous country will be watching closely as they compete in the weeks to come. More than 50 Indigenous athletes from around the world are competing this year in Paris. The final day of the Olympics is August 11th. Next week is the annual Saskatoon Exhibition. Last year, the event brought in over 200,000 guests to take in various attractions. This year, one of the highlight attractions is an event dedicated to showcasing Indigenous culture through clothing. The Gabriel Dumont Institute is bringing ribbon skirts to the city's biggest summer event. From August 6th to 11th, attendees can visit the exhibition grounds to admire seamstresses' work from across the province. The exhibit honors Métis and First Nations women by showcasing the craft of ribbon skirts. All skirts were submitted by volunteers, but artisans who contributed were entered to win one of 5 $100 gift certificates. After 3 seasons and 28 episodes, the comedy series Reservation Dogs, which airs on Disney+, Hulu, and Star, finally received some recognition as it has been nominated for 5 Emmys this year. The nominations include Best Comedy Series, Best Cinematography for a Single Camera Series, Best Sound Editing, and Best Picture Editing. DeFaro Wunatai, the actor who plays Bear Smallhill, also got an Outstanding Lead Actor nomination in a comedy series. Co-creator and showrunner Sterling Harjo is from the Seminole Nation in Oklahoma. He says the show has never been nominated for an Emmy before, and he was surprised when it was. Harjo says people crave new and different stories, and he hopes Hollywood will see that moving forward. The Emmy Awards ceremony will be on September 15th. Absolutely love that show. Definitely check it out if you haven't watched it yet. Lily Gladstone also does an amazing job in one of the episodes. That is your midday newscast for this Thursday, August 1st. Where the heck did the summer go? We'll be back again in a few hours for your evening newscast with more brand new stories. From everyone from APTN National News, hi miigwech masicho. Thank you for watching.